I have a very weird feeling right now. I'm actually a little bit nervous to talk about this, but it would be very hypocritical of me not to explain my tattoos when I talk to you guys about the importance of documentation and how strongly I feel about documenting things that you're feeling at a specific time. And I don't know that this video is ever going to be made to the public, so maybe this will just be handed down to my kids or whoever 20 years down the line from now. And it would be a shame not to have this because I have never explained the true meaning of my tattoos to anyone, really. So if that's the case, and this is, being played in year 2050, I'm 26 years old right now. It is August of 2016, and I run my mouth on this social media platform called YouTube, which you guys may or may not be watching on right now. So that's pretty cool, right? So my tattoos. Let's just jump into it because I've gotten at least 1,000 questions about this on YouTube, and people I think are just genuinely interested when people, I guess, decide to permanently mark themselves. So it must be pretty impactful if you do make that decision, in most cases. Luckily for me, it is. So let's start with, let's go in chronological order. My first ever tattoo, hard work pays off, with my mother's initials down below. Now I knew all throughout high school I was going to do this. So when I turned 18 years old, I graduated my senior year of high school. I went to the tattoo shop. I told my mom, okay, I'm going to get a tattoo. And she was all about picking her battles. So maybe she wasn't in love with the idea of me getting a tattoo, but she was cool with it. So I went by myself, got the tattoo, and of course she loved that her initials were on there. She tried to play it off like she didn't, but she definitely did. Really the reason I got that, I knew 100% since I was 16 years old, that is what I wanted to get as my first tattoo. And it's kind of been my mantra, throughout my entire life, and it was passed down through my mother. That's where I learned it from, and there's been so many different instances where that has held true in my life.
I heard from many a teacher, yes, Travis is average, maybe he's not quite college material. I'm proud to stand here and say my son now is a sophomore in college, on the dean's list, finished winter quarter with a 4.0. The point of the story is that it's true. My son is average. He's an average student. But as I saw him struggle and as I tried to encourage him and let him know it's not always IQ, it's about how hard you work, how dedicated you are, what you're willing to give, and having belief in yourself, not letting others define who you are, will make you successful.
And through every situation in life, she would tell me, just do what you can and hard work will pay off. And that has held true 100% of the time. I'm yet to find a situation when it hasn't, when I regretted working my hardest. It has not happened. And I would say this is probably my favorite tattoo. It means the most to me. Well, they're all pretty meaningful, but I love it. I don't regret it for a second. My second tattoo was probably, I would say, 3 to 6 months later, I believe. And this tattoo starts with praying hands. And there's a cool story behind the hands because they were drawn by one of my friends, Ben. And you guys may or may not know, I used to make, we'll call it music back in the day. And I had this line in one of these songs where I was like,
been good looking for drawing up that tat, bro. You had my back, now it's on my back. Funny how it goes.
So just a little side story there. It was cool, he drew it up and now it's on me permanently. And underneath the praying hands, it says, Lord, forgive me. And I was reading a book at the time, and it was all about forgiveness. I was mentored by a pastor, and we created a really strong bond. And I wish I could sit here and say that I'm this great Christian man, but I'm not. There's so much I need to improve on. There's so much that I need to do better. But the whole concept of forgiveness is very empowering because now it's not like I'd feel guilty going to church because I know I make these mistakes. I don't live exactly how I should all the time, but it's still, if you're like me and you're spiritual and you believe in forgiveness and you believe in God, then it just kind of brings you back to a place of stability, I guess, and just it gives you hope, and it's really meaningful to me. And I know that you're not really supposed to talk about spiritual beliefs or talk about religion, but I will say that I will very proudly admit that I have very strong religious beliefs. So That was my second tattoo. Tattoo number 3 is down my side. It's my biggest piece, but it started out just with 2 words, Live Strong. And this was obviously inspired by Lance Armstrong's clothing brand, Live Strong. He was a cyclist battling cancer. He had this great organization built up, but then people found out he was doping and he was lying about it. And cycling, nothing negative to the brand, but it obviously deteriorated his image. And since then, people have asked me, well, do you regret that tattoo? And I kind of look at them in confusion. I'm like, no, this tattoo has nothing to do with Lance Armstrong. It has everything to do with the meaning of the words. So I was just messing around in Photoshop one day. I forget what I was doing, but I was doing something with the cancer ribbon, and I accidentally flipped it around upside down. And I was like, wow, that looks like a V. So I thought, that would be a really cool tattoo idea to get Live Strong and make the V the cancer ribbon, because just a few years earlier, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. So that's what I did. But then I was like, I want to keep building on that. I wanted to make this whole collage. So every piece to this collage has meaning behind it. So the sun and the moon, those really represent the good times and the bad times. So the sun, obviously the bright times. And what this really goes to say is that, it's easy to live strong during those times, and there will be the good times. There'll be the good days where everything is just going your way. But also, maybe even more importantly, you have to live strong through the dark times, through the times that, things aren't going as well. So it kind of has that balance of both, because inevitably you will face both along the journey. And that is what the road represents. It goes all throughout the piece, kind of self-explanatory there. But there's 3 words attached to the road, and I really was brainstorming. I was like, what are 3 things that are absolutely essential to be able to live strong? And the 3 words that came to mind at the time were wisdom, courage, and drive. I was convinced, and I still am to this day, if you have those 3 things, then you will be able to do just that. You will be able to live strong, and you will be able to live a happy, healthy life, hopefully. The last piece to that collage is just the tree of life, and I think that one is pretty self-explanatory as well. It kind of goes together with everything else. So that was probably the most painful tattoo, but not nearly as painful as some people make it out to be. And believe it or not, I got all 3 of these tattoos within about a 2-year span. So by the time I was 20 years old, I was pretty tatted up, right? And my final tattoo did not come until I was 22 years old. And you can see here, it's a guardian angel, and most people cannot read what's below that because it's written in Italian, but it says no more pain. Now, when my mom got sick, she had a friend that gave her a bunch of guardian angels. She got one for the car, one for the living room, one for the dining room, one was in the kitchen, and it was just like a good luck symbol, someone that's always watching over you. And it always I don't know, it just provided closure for me, and I always felt good when I saw one of them. And I still have one in the car, because the car that I drive now was my mom's car. So I knew that when my mom passed away, I wanted to get something to symbolize her, to kind of as a memorial piece. And there's I would say a lot of different tattoo ideas. I didn't want to do something that everyone else was doing. So I figured getting that guardian angel would not only be meaningful to me, but maybe a little bit different. And when I knew I didn't want to get like RIP at a certain date, just because, I'm never going to forget that day. I don't need that on there, but the reason I got no more pain, the reason I got it in Italian is because my mom was Italian. Very proud of that. That's why when you see CLDS, the reason she has that 4th initial is because she kept her maiden name as well, because she did not want to lose her Italian heritage. So getting no more pain in Italian was kind of tribute to her as well. But that was just, this might get a little bit deep here. That was so meaningful. I remember it was one of the last nights we had in the hospital, and it was getting bad. And I just remember thinking, like, if I could take away that pain, I would do anything. And to this day, I'm convinced that the worst feeling in the world is not being in pain yourself, but watching someone that you love so much in so much pain, and just to be able to take that away. And I got to the point where I said this in the eulogy speech actually, it was selfish of me to want her to live, because she was miserable. And I came to a point where I was like, you know what, God, I think it's time. And I just don't want her to be in pain anymore. So that's where all of that originated from. So pretty deep meaning there as well. And that's, I think, what gives me peace, is now that she's gone, which is terrible, right? I mean, she was the number 1 in my life, but the fact that she's not experiencing that type of pain anymore, that makes me feel good. So as you can see, my mother played a huge role in my life. Almost every tattoo can be tied back to her, which is why I know I will never, ever regret these tattoos, which is a good feeling. So that's my tattoos explained. That's the big mystery. who could be watching this video right now? Like I said, if it's the public, then I hope you you got some insight about this. If you have any other questions about my tattoos or tattoos in general, feel free to let me know. Or if it's Travis Jr. 25 years from now, man, I hope you're not as weird as me. And if you want to get tattoos, I'll probably tell you not to, even though I don't think tattoos are bad. But we'll just cut the video off here. So if this is a YouTube thing, like the video if you enjoyed it. I got thousands of questions about this. You had to have liked it now that I finally told you. If this is just a personal thing, then just know that 26 years old, I'm in a good place, and I'm very grateful for where I'm at in life. So that's it.
Again, I'll refer to my son. He enjoys writing. He enjoys music. And when he was in high school, he wrote a song for me. And I'll paraphrase the lyrics. His greatest fear was letting me down. As people who interact with children each day, let's remember to always give our kids the best, maintain high expectations, believe in their ability to succeed, and most importantly, never let them down. Thank you.